welcome. I'm going to talk a little bit today about this beautiful instrument, the Sakkusu Bass Sax from sax.co.uk. The bass saxophone is typically far too expensive for the vast majority of saxophone players to be able to get their hands on one. But Sax.co.uk has kind of fixed that problem, I think, with the Sakkusu Bass Sax. I've only had it about a month, not even, but in that time it has proven to be well worth the price that it cost me. So I'm going to talk a little bit about it today, and then I'm going to let you hear a little bit of what it sounds like. I'll put a timestamp in the description to when I start playing if you don't care to hear me talk. So I guess let's get started. So I'm going to bring the instrument kind of over in front of me here, because you don't need to see my ugly face, you need to see this beautiful thing. So you'll notice right off the bat that the neck style on the Sakkusu Bass Sax is the same as what you get with a Selmer or a Keilwerth, or Keilwerth, however you want to pronounce that. That means that about half the length of the neck is contained here in this kind of downward dip. I don't know what else you want to call it. Kind of like an expanded baritone sax, which I don't know if you can see, but I have behind me. American bass saxophones like the Conn or the Martin or whatever, the whole length of the neck is going to be extended up. So it's going to be twice this tall with none of this down here. And that, for me, is a problem for a couple of reasons. And the main one is it's a little bit more top heavy. This is a heavy instrument. I don't know how much exactly it weighs, but I know it makes my baritone sax feel like a recorder. So definitely a heavy instrument. And I don't want all that weight up in the air. I want it down near where my strap hooks are, to balance the weight. And like having been able to pick up and hold an American style bass saxophone and then get my hands on this instrument, this is hands down a far superior design in my opinion. I think it also looks a little bit less goofy as well. But that's up to personal preference. Personally, I like the European neck wrap over the American, like North American neck wrap. So, other than that, it basically just looks like an expanded baritone saxophone. You know, some people who aren't very well versed in what the saxophone family looks like might mistake this for a baritone sax if they didn't look twice. I will admit I made that mistake for like half a second when I walked into this room a couple of weeks ago when I first got it. I kind of forgot that I had it. I walked in, I was like, oh, I didn't remember putting my baritone sax over there. But anyway, unlike most baritone saxophones that you find these days, this instrument only goes down to the low B flat, which I'm fine with. I've seen low A bass saxes and the bell comes up to here. It sticks out to over top of where the neck is. Over the baritone sax, which it cuts out a lot further, or a lot earlier than that. So all that extra metal, all that extra weight, I'm perfectly content with a low B flat. I think it sounds good. Alright, sorry about that. My dogs were causing a ruckus upstairs. I had to go see what was going on since no one else is here today, unfortunately. But that means I get to make this video. So anyway, as I was saying, I think the low B flat is more than adequate for the bass sax. I don't think the low A is necessary. Unlike the baritone sax, the bass doesn't have a lot of music written for it, so it's kind of up to you as to what you're going to do with a bass line when you're playing this instrument. I haven't really seen a situation that would call for a low A on a bass sax. Which means that you don't really need to have one, in my opinion. So, having said that, I think that it's perfect. I'm happy with the range. Keyed to high F sharp, which I really like. The key work on the Sakkusu bass is surprisingly good for an instrument this cheap for what it is. Now, put it in perspective, most bass saxophones on the market today are going to run you 25 to 30 grand on average. At the time of recording this video, this thing cost me less than 6,000 Canadian. I think it was like $5,800 Canadian. I don't know what that is in other currencies, but you can do the transposition. Either way, a lot of savings for very minimal sacrifice in my professional opinion. Now, if you're going to have it shipped, it's going to cost you another $1,000-something to ship it, but you're still saving a ridiculous amount of money to get a fantastic bass saxophone. I think this is great. I mean, everything about it, for the most part, is excellent. There's only a few minor deficiencies, and I'm going to talk about those minor deficiencies right now. Hey, I found my hat. So happy. So, deficiencies with this instrument, there's not a lot of them, and some of them aren't necessarily due to the price or the brand of instrument that it is. It's just due to the fact that it's so big. The most prevalent problem I have with this bass sax is the middle E and D don't like to come out as easily as the rest of the register. As the rest of the range of the instrument, really. It's a little bit more fuzzy, and with the mouthpiece provided, which is a Yamaha 5C Baritone Sax mouthpiece, that's not what I have on here. I have my Baritone Sax mouthpiece on here. But with the one that they provide, it can be real difficult to get it out, even for an experienced player. I've been a baritone sax player for 8 years, and I struggled. So, give you a little demonstration of exactly what's going on with that. So. So, I don't know if you could hear it very well. I'm going to do a bit of a better recording session here in a minute so you can actually really hear what this sounds like when recorded properly. But I found that the E and the D, and the E flat as well, were a little bit fuzzy, and you have to kind of lower your jaw a little bit to really lock the intonation in and lock the sound quality in to get the notes to pop out. But once you can manage that, it's pretty easy to overcome. Like, I had to put a 7-tip opening Piatti medium chamber on this instrument, excuse me, to kind of get over that problem, which isn't a big deal. But the issue I have with that is if you're a newer player, or maybe you're not as experienced and you don't have an open tip, like a wider tip opening mouthpiece, you might have an issue working your way around that with a student mouthpiece like the 5C that they provide. That being said, it's still possible, and I just haven't played on a 5C in a long time, so that easily could just be my inability to play on a closed tip mouthpiece. So take that with a grain of salt for sure, but just be aware of that. And they don't make any effort to hide that either. In the promotional video that I saw for this, which I'll link in the description below as well, they made a point to say that, but it's not a big deal, and for 80-90% savings, that's a pretty small thing to have to put up with, and that's easy to get over. It's not a permanent thing. The only other real issue I have with the Sakkusu bass, which, this is almost certainly something that you'll find with any bass sax, is when you apply the keys, mainly on the upper stack here, there's a little bit of flex after the pads ground with the tone hole, just because the arms are so long. Now, I imagine this was manufactured in China somewhere, and that probably means the metal is a little bit lower quality than a more expensive bass sax, so you just want to be careful that you're not pressing down too hard, otherwise you could do damage. And also with your palm keys, they're so long that they're easy to bend, so you want to be real careful. A lot longer than a baritone sax. I didn't realize how much bigger than a baritone sax this was going to be. But yeah, if you're not careful, it's real easy to bend a lot of parts on this instrument, just because of how long they are and because of how soft the metal is. So you need to be careful with that, and you need to be aware of that. But again, these are not deal breakers. As long as you're not stupid and you take care of it, I think you're looking at an incredible bass sax here, for the price especially. That's about it for the negatives. My left hand was a little bit sore after playing it, just because of the positioning of the register key, because the neck kind of gets in the way, so you have to move your hand a little bit more of an angle like that rather than like this. But again, you get used to that fairly quickly, and it's not that big of a deal. So now I'm going to talk about the pros of the Sakkusu bass sax. Okay, the pros, I'll tell you right now that this is going to be a bit longer of a segment than the cons. So that should give you an idea of how I feel about this instrument. Pros, to start, it's got 3 strap hooks, which means that, say you've got a harness, I would definitely recommend using a harness with this. Don't use a neck strap. It probably won't hold it if it's a cheap one. If you've got a harness with a little bit of limited mobility, you've got 3 strap hooks to select from, as opposed to pretty much all other saxophones that are smaller than this, which come with 1. I like to use the middle ones. Occasionally I'll use the one on the top. So that's great. I love that. I noticed that there's lots of body braces on this instrument, which means that it's, they put thought into making sure that it was supported and taken care of from collapsing under its own weight, which I really, really appreciate. You got the one down here, you've got 2 up here at the top of the bell right here, and then on the back here, I can't really show you, but in the same spot you'd find one for a baritone sax. There's one back here at the bottom of the pigtail. It's just a little bit thicker. Up top here for the high D, you've also got a small little key guard, which is a nice touch. And again down here with the E flat and your side C, you've got the little key guards again. The thumb hook is nothing fancy, it's just plastic, but the position of it is perfect, at least for my hand. Now obviously every player is going to be a little bit different, but for me, it fits great, and I haven't heard any other complaints about it either. When it comes to intonation, it's all there. I'm going to get this out of the way. Sorry about that. I know you want to look at the instrument, but you're going to have to look at me for now. As I was saying, intonation is all there. You just have to know where it is. You have to learn the instrument, because it's such a big instrument and there's so much piping for the sound to resonate through. You've got to really get used to it and learn what notes are sharp, what notes are flat, etc. And then just figure out how to use your embouchure to overcome that. But that didn't take me very long to do, and anyone who's going to be getting a bass sax is probably experienced enough that it won't be difficult for them to figure out either. In terms of the key work, like I said earlier, excellent. Everything responds the way it's supposed to. Everything's nice and tight. I didn't have to do any adjustment to it when I got it, which is awesome. There is a nice engraving on the bell. You can't really see it. If I can, I'll take some photos of it and put them at the end of the video. I should be able to do that. I don't see it being a problem. It's nothing crazy fancy, but there is an engraving, which is a nice touch with this. The thing I didn't know until I got it was that these are actually, like I said earlier, compatible with Baritone Sax mouthpieces, which is awesome, because a good bass mouthpiece is going to cost you like $500-600. Not a whole lot of them out there, and the ones that are out there tend to be real expensive. So if you're like me and you've been playing the baritone sax for a number of years, you go out and spend all this money on this brand new bass sax. You don't want to also have to go out and spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars in most cases on a mouthpiece for it. Now the mouthpiece that they supply obviously would fit on it, but it's kind of a sucky mouthpiece for someone that's used to a wider tip opening. So that's nice that you can put any baritone sax mouthpiece on it. They fit very well on this, and they go really good with it too. I'm not feeling like I'm losing any tonal quality. I don't feel like I'm losing any intonation, and it plays great, and I love it. The register key mechanism, for the size of it, it responds like that just as quick as a tenor sax, which I did not expect. I expected there to be some kind of delay, and having looked over this thing like really hard to try and find something wrong with it somewhere, I was not able to find anything wrong with it. It arrived in great shape right out of the box. It was very well packed. And I can't complain about it at all. Everything that they said about it turned out to be true. It plays great. It has good intonation for what it is. The key work is excellent on it. It has a great sound, and you can get up into the high register with it, which with a lot of cheap saxophones these days, or any days, really, like from days gone by up until right now, a lot of them are having issues in the really low and really high register, but I'm not having that problem at all with any Sakkusu saxophones. I've got tenors, I've got an alto behind me here, and I'm getting a baritone soon, hopefully. My baritone sax that I have behind me is not a Sakkusu, unfortunately. Yeah, so like there's a lot of great things going on with this. They engineered it very, very well and managed to keep the price low. And I think that that's something that is really, really special. And I think that this is 100% worth a buy. I would definitely recommend this instrument to anyone looking to play a bass saxophone in any capacity. Like even if you're like a moderate professional, you could probably make this work, just because it sounds great. There is one more thing I want to talk about before I really let you listen to what it sounds like, because what you heard before doesn't count. And that's, it comes with a floor peg, and I gotta go out into the hallway and get that, so I'll be back in just 1 second. Hello, I'm back. So as you can see, the instrument does come with a floor peg. Wow, that is a lot of pressure on my thumb. It's got 2 screw-in spots, I don't know if that's the right word, and the tip of the peg is rubber coated, which is good. That means it's not going to scratch up your floor. And while I prefer to play this standing up with a harness strap, when sitting down, this is great. It takes all the weight away from the player. Like I could sit here and just play this like. And I mean, that was easy. I didn't have any trouble whatsoever making that come out. Balancing wasn't too bad, which is, I don't understand how, because I've done this with a baritone sax and it was a lot tougher to, it's a lot tougher to balance it. So, yeah, I'm really, really happy with this. I would absolutely, strongly, 100% recommend that you buy this if you want to play the bass sax, because realistically, this is the best bang for your buck you're going to get. Yeah, there are better ones out there, but they're going to break the bank. This one, if you save up for a bit, shouldn't break the bank on you, which is what I think most of us are probably looking for. So, yeah, I'm going to play it a little bit here and let you listen to what it sounds like and enjoy it. I'll also do a comparison with the baritone sax so you can see the size difference, and let you listen to the difference between the baritone and the bass sax, because I think not side by side, but like one at a time, they might be a little bit difficult to differentiate, but when you hear them back to back, I think you're going to notice a much bigger difference and realize just how much deeper this instrument can play. And yeah, so I really hope you enjoy.